My mother wrote a lot of amazing stories to me. A lot of them were 6 to 10 pages long, single spaced, printed on both sides of the page. And this one is one of my very favorites. And I imagine that the morning she wrote it, she would have been standing in her kitchen. And she would have been wearing her apron, because she always wore her apron, because if you wear an apron, you don't get your clothes dirty, you don't have to wash them as often, and they don't wear out. And she would have been standing there looking out the kitchen window at the cow lot. Fortunately, there were no longer cows, but just weeds grown up around it. And it wasn't a beautiful sight. And I can see her standing at the sink and washing the dishes and then slamming them into the drainer. And at some point, she would have realized she had two choices. She could either stand there and explode, or she could go to her word processor and she could write to me about what she was feeling. And so this is what she had to say. Dear Elaine, I am so upset over the advice that is being given to people today about doing your own thing and to hell with everybody else. And I think that's one of the reasons there are so many divorces and so much unhappiness in the world right now. And I think Dr. Wayne Dyer had a lot to do with it when he wrote this book, Your Erroneous Zones. I bought this book and I started reading it, and I just got so angry and up on my high horse, I just had to put it down. I couldn't even finish it. There were two things that upset me about that book. And the first thing is, I don't think Dr. Dyer understands that there are two genders. Seems to me he's only aware of the male. And then the other thing is he just keeps pounding away at this idea that a person should do whatever he wants to do. He wants to do. Well, as an old lady, I am here to tell anyone who will listen that life is not made up of doing what you want to do. When a person commits to marriage and parenthood, your time of living your life for yourself is over. Forever. Fortunately, I have learned how to find my own peace and happiness from within. And that's a good thing. Because to tell you the truth, I can't think of anything that is all that exciting about getting up in the morning and fixing breakfast and then doing the dishes and starting a load of laundry and doing housework and helping your father, and then going back and fixing lunch and doing the dishes and doing more laundry and more housework and more caring for your father. For me, an exciting day might consist of having an interesting telephone conversation, or possibly running into somebody I know in the grocery store or even on the street. And for this, I should take vitamins. I should eat right and exercise so I can prolong this wonderful life experience? Oh, no. Give me a break. No, my joy in life comes from learning and growing mentally and spiritually. And here's the thing that I've discovered about having my own peace and happiness from within. I've discovered that I can stay more or less emotionally detached and still do what has to be done to give other people a reasonable amount of happiness. So I believe my mother's detached attitude was actually the secret to her survival. And over the years, it morphed into what she called an attitude of creative indifference. And we were talking on the phone one day, and I said, so Mom, what is the difference between being detached and being creatively indifferent? And she said, oh, hell, there's no difference. You can call it whatever you want to call it. I just think detached sounds a little cold, so I like the term creative indifference better. But what it means is not allowing yourself to become emotionally ravaged by the disease or the progression of events. Well, Madelyn did not realize that she actually had a 3-step process that helped her maintain her attitude of creative indifference through all of her caregiving challenges. And I didn't realize it either until I started editing her letters into the book. And then I could see that there was clearly this pattern. So the first step is to become aware. Lots of ways to do this. You can think through it, you can talk to others, but I think the most powerful way to become aware of what's really causing you stress is to sit down and write about it. Now, the second step is acceptance, and this is the hardest thing any of us as caregivers have to do, because we have to accept that what we had in the past is over. What we had hoped to be doing at this point in our lives is no longer possible. And what we had planned for the future is a dream that's gone, and that's hard. And then the third step is action. And there are two parts to this. If you can identify a problem over which you have some power, authority, or control, it's something that you can fix, awesome. Make a plan, fix it, and move on. But more often than not, as a caregiver, you are going to come up against situations for which there is no solution. And then you have two choices. You can either obsess over it and let it wake you up multiple times at night, or you can choose to release your attitude toward it. So we're going to be going into this in depth, and we're going to be practicing it as we go forward. But for now, what I would like for you to remember is when you come up against something that is really, really challenging for you and making you upset, think about, first of all, be aware of it. Name it, write it down. Second of all, accept that there are many, many things over which you will never have any control. And then third is action. Identify if it is something that you can fix. If so, fix it. If not, think about how you can release your emotional attachment to it.